Thanks for coming back for the next instalment of my Inktober sketches. We've got days 22 to 28, and I did have trouble with a few this week, and I don't honestly know if it's because of the words themselves or if it's because it's the third week of doing it. So for example, day 22 was scratchy, and I was thinking about this one all day. Like literally my first thought was scratchy label in the back of a jumper or something where you know, constantly fidgeting around with it all day. And, you know, I'm sure most people have got it where it's, you know, an item of clothing or a jumper or something that you really like the look of. And you think, why don't I wear this more often? And then you wear it, and within 5 minutes you're like, oh yes, this is why I don't wear it more often. Whether it's because of the label or the material or something that's just irritating. But I worked my way through so many ideas this day. You know, I went from like the shoehorn that's got like the back scratcher at the other end, to a cat scratching post, to a cat or a dog scratching. I even thought at one point about drawing a flea. You know, there was just so many things, and like my mum and dad were making suggestions because I was visiting them, and I was like, I don't know what to draw, and they were giving me ideas, and I just couldn't settle on anything. And in the end I thought, just go back to your first thought, Laura. You know, that was what I just kept coming back to. But I didn't necessarily want to fill a whole page just with a with a clothing label. So that's why I decided to do this one as a half-page split. This particular jumper is based on a pure wool jumper that my husband bought when we were on our honeymoon. And I actually bought one as well in the same shop, not matching, but kind of similar. I don't know whatever happened to mine. Obviously at some point I've got rid of it, but I've still got my late husband's jumper, and I do very occasionally wear it. But it, like I say, it's one of those where as soon as I put it on, I'm like, oh no, it's just not comfortable, and it's scratchy. So I don't know, can you see? I've got on the label there, Scratchy & Co. is the brand. That's not the brand that it actually was, but that's the one I'm using for my sketch. And then the next day we had Celestial, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do for Celestial, but the solar system seemed appropriate. I'm not very happy with the sun. I realise it's quite hard to draw the sun without using yellow or orange. So it just looks like well, I don't know what it looks like, but hopefully you can recognise it's the sun just by everything else that's going on around it. I was quite proud of this one. This is 2 days. We had Shallow and Dangerous, and I'd thought ahead about this one. Again, because the two words were next to each other, Shallow and Dangerous, I just automatically thought, you know, of a boat coming aground in shallow water. I nearly changed my mind, because while I was on holiday, I took a photo of a seagull stood in a puddle, which just made me laugh. It was just funny. It was like, you know, just a few meters from the sea, and it's a seagull, and it was just stood in a puddle in the car park. So I nearly drew that for Shallow. But then I thought, what am I going to do for Dangerous? So then I just came back to my shallow water and the danger. So what I did on the first day, rather than doing it half and half, it kind of looked like a whole scene, with the background, some of the foreground. But on the sign, I just put shallow water. And then the next day when I came back, I added Danger, where I'd left space for it, and added this rather sad looking boat. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how that turned out as the sort of the partnership of the two words. I think that works pretty well together. And this I think is going to be my last one where I combine 2 sketches, because I've now got enough pages left that I can do 1 sketch per page. And then we had remove, and the first thing I thought of, I was thinking what gets removed, and the first thing I thought of was nuts and bolts, undoing a nut and bolt. And I just thought the adjustable spanner was quite fun to draw with the little screw mechanism. There was quite a lot of empty space on the page, so I actually Googled, I think the phrase that I typed in was nut and bolt font, and then this alphabet came up with various different things. So you've got the like little clip, well, these little clips as well, and some of the letters were made using other tools, and some of them were actually like nuts and bolts. So I thought that was quite a good way to fill in the space on the remove. It kind of tied in with the spanner theme. And then yesterday we had Beast, which was another one which gave me a surprising amount of trouble trying to pick a subject, because in theory, you know, you could have drawn almost any animal. I started off thinking about Beauty and the Beast, and I was thinking I would draw one of the old-fashioned images of the Beast, because in the more modern depictions of the Beast, he's kind of quite lion-like, but in some of the old ones he looks more like a bear or a boar. So I was looking at those images, but I couldn't find anything that I wanted to draw. And then I was again thinking about different types of beasts, and then I thought, oh, beast of burden. And then I thought, well, I drew a mule last year for one of the days, so it's like I didn't want to draw a donkey. And then I thought, okay, what about an ox? So I was searching for pictures of an ox, and the Highland cow came up, and I'm saying, what's that doing on an ox search? Then I couldn't find any ox pictures that I wanted to draw, so then I tried a yak, and the Highland cow came up again on the yak search. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll do the Highland cow. And this one was actually drawn kind of half and half from 2 different images that I found that I quite liked. But again, this was one that was left quite late in the day, and it was a bit of a rush. And I do think he looks a little bit like a hairy potato. Although, you know, I am more pleased with him now looking back than I was when I actually did it. His face is a little bit squashed, but I'm you know, fairly happy with how it turned out, my hairy potato. And today we've got Sparkle, and this is actually a sketch of one of a set of glasses that we were given as a wedding present by one of my uncles, and it's Edinburgh crystal, which strangely enough is made in France. But yeah, that was a little bit tricky trying to get the light reflections, because how the light reflects on glass isn't always, you know, where you would expect it to be. So some of this is accurate, and some of it I've just added in because I felt like it needed a little extra lightness in certain areas. So there we are, day 28, so very close to the end. So I'll see you again in a few days just to show the last few sketches and to talk about Inktober as a whole, how it's gone. And yeah, so I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.